CEOs, they're not very good at predicting the future. They're pretty good at telling you how they feel and what their order book looks like. And they don't necessarily pick inflection points. If you're trying to guess an inflection point, you better be a little more thoughtful about those things that affect the inflection point. And so, yes, remember, there's always a level of noise. I mean, always. So that's like a cosmological constant. There's some things today which are good, pro-business, deregulation. There's some things today which are bad, which is tariffs, and we don't really know. You're going to find out, by the way, because in the next couple of months, they're either going to do some or not, and you're going to be more comfortable. You hear a lot of announcements about capital spending. Some are probably going to take place. So I don't know. I say yes, things are weakening a little bit right now. That doesn't mean they're going to not strengthen down the road. I think what will cause the most lack of confidence, in my view, if we fail to fix Ukraine, with security for Ukraine, if we fail to set the Middle East on a proper path, if we fail to get some kind of tax deal, if we fail to get, if the tariffs get really bad, if some of this international relations with China gets bad, that's the stuff that you can, I think, could push you into recession. If it doesn't get done. If it gets done, that exuberance was justified.
So I want to open up to questions from the audience in a minute or two, so be prepared for that, folks. But before that, if you had to pick one big risk that sort of keeps you up at night right now, what is it that's...
It's geopolitics. I mean, I look at the economy as the weather. I don't worry about the economy. When it goes up, when it goes down. I mean, I don't mean it bad. I don't really care. I think people waste so much words. What do you think? What's going to happen? And if you're trading stocks, maybe you have to do a little bit of that. But it's the geopolitics. I think we're at a crossroads, which is about the future of the free and democratic world. That, to me, is the only important thing. And that's how we handle Ukraine, Iran, Russia, China. Iran having a nuclear weapon, that'll change. That will be terrible. And America or Israel will take severe action. Our relations with China, remember, there are other players in the world. They may do something to test us. Whether Russia's going to give in so quick and do something with Trump, I'm not so sure about that. They're committing sabotage in Europe. They're cutting cables under the ground, so I think that this situation is bad. American leadership is necessary, required. We have new American leadership who's doing it a different way. I wish them the best. It's obviously causing consternation. Some of that consternation is not so bad, so I'm not, in favor of, treating allies badly, but a little shock therapy is not bad. Europe's got to do a better job defending itself. And they have to do a better job fixing their economy. They've gone from 95% GDP of America to 65%. Okay, and that was political leadership. And it was because of regulations, labor inflexibility, the inability to finish the EU, the lack of a common market, the lack of a capital markets union, the lack of a banking union. And it's crippling their economy and their ability to take care of their citizens. And so those are the things that if we tear the world apart, I call it the economic battlefield, in trade, pricing, us against Europe, us against China, we're going to have an issue. So, America first is fine. America alone, if we end up alone because, we're tearing the world asunder, we will have made a mistake. I don't think that's the goal, by the way, but you have to be very careful when you start, like the IRA Act, some of you may not know this, when that act was done, Europe was so angry, and you know what? They should have been. It was done without any talking to them. It was basically America first and alone, and benefits us. They can't do the same stuff to keep up. They can't afford it. And it put them in a terrible position. Our allies, and maybe it's going to benefit our jobs here a little bit. So we have to be a little more thoughtful in foreign economic policy, including development finance. We're very small. China's all over, Belt and Road. We need to make sure we keep our world safe and strong.
It's a great point. Let's open it up to questions from the audience. There are microphones going around. Please wait to receive a microphone before you go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Jamie. My name is George Georgiev. I'm actually a JP Morgan employee from the London Investment Bank office, so huge honor to have you. Actually, throughout my 10 years at JP Morgan, I've seen many cases of you being very personally effective and productive, including sending letters, going to meet with clients directly on an individual basis, which I found amazing for such a huge company. I was wondering if you could share with us any tips for how you keep up such productivity personally.
Yeah. Well, first, I love what I do. That makes it. I take care of you should all take care of yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul, your friends, your family. So I try to do that. But I'm very conscious about how I spend my time, my office, what I do. And so whenever I go anywhere around the world, I do client lunches, client dinners. My chief of staff is here. We send out notes every week. So I'm in constant contact with folks. And my office is very functional, too. Who's coming in, why they're coming, what do they need. And half the time, they don't need me. They want to know. They wanted that research report, or they want to know if they can have lunch with someone or something like that. So I think it's important, and I think it's important with whatever business you're in that CEOs get out. When they're like, I'm never harried, I'm never late, I've always done my pre-reads. I'm in my meeting, I do not have my phone, I do not get my notifications on my iPad. I'm looking at you, I'm focused, I'm learning from you. But whatever business you're in, when they tell me they're too busy to go on the road, to go out, and they spend a lot of time with their board, they're making a mistake. Go to your call centers, go to your clients, sit in sales calls with your bankers and stuff like that, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the world, you learn a lot about your banker, you learn a lot about where we're falling short in a product or a service, because the client will tell you, Jamie, you wouldn't have won that thing, but HSBC's is better, or Stripe, integrated it better than you did, or something like that. So I think it's what you should be doing all the time. And you can structure your life that you have time to do that. And I do bus trips every year. I go to small cities. I go to small businesses, constantly learning, constantly assessing, constantly looking at the landscape, always being open to it, as opposed to what we did was right. I always tell people, my management means, I'm not interested in being right in the past. I'm interested in being right in the future. And I don't mind changing, because a lot of the decisions we change are the ones I made. That's okay. If I give you a new job, I say, just make it better going forward. Don't pretend you don't need to protect me.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here. Really excited to speak to you because both my sister and wife are alumni of JP Morgan and love doing first-class things in the first-class way. I've admittedly listened to the leaked audio clip that was circulating on Twitter about your strong opinions about working from home or remote work. And I think many of us, as we think about the next steps in our career and thinking about going to places that are 5 days in person or remote work, or industries like investment banking where it's always been hybrid, 5 days in the office and 2 days at home. Would love to just hear some of your thoughts or guidance or advice on how we should think about these topics.
Yeah, so I've done thousands of town halls, and I answer every question honestly. The guy who asked that question said he was fired. I would never fire someone for asking a question, any question, whatever it is. I think they have the right, and if they're right about something, we'll change it. And I emote. Obviously I should never curse. And I emote. I get up on stage and they say, "You what? You're going to do what?" I'm a human being. I'm like everybody else. But I was making he had said, "Why can't the manager decide?" And I was like, we tried that. And the managers, I believe in pushing power as far as down as you can. Regulators want all centralized. I put as far to the branch manager, to the trader, with rules and constructs and stuff like that. And we tried that with this, but the fact is they simply didn't exercise managerial skill. Everyone gave everyone everything, including people at my management table, by the way. And I eventually said, I've had it with that. And now, first of all, we have 10% of our people working home full time. We put virtual call centers in Baltimore and Detroit. We did it to see if they'd be effective. They're highly effective. They work from home. They're mostly minorities. That's why we did it. It's a home run. So I'm not against it where it works. There's 60% with full-time, the other 30%. I also completely defend your right to say, I don't want to. But I don't defend your right to tell me what JP Morgan's going to do. So you have a free market. You can do one thing, I can do another, this one. That's what's called a free market. If you work in a restaurant, you got to be in. You all may not know this, but 60% of Americans worked the whole time. Where did you get your Amazon packages from? Your beef, your meat, your vodka. Where did you get the diapers from? Where do you got UPS and FedEx and manufacturers and agriculture and hospitals and cities and schools and nurses and sanitation and firemen and military. They all worked. It's only this people in the middle who complain a lot about it. I'm being quite serious. And you go to Washington, D.C. now, some of these people are coming 5 days a month, and you're paying for it. So, but the other thing, here's why it doesn't work in our business. So it may very well work in certain things. The amount of, for the younger people being left behind, I've known this for a while. We can prove a little bit of it, and that is cumulative. It's not like the first month you're working. It's by the second year you have less people, you're put on less assignments, you know less what's going on, you have less conversations at the water cooler or in the cafeteria. So it's leaving them behind. I won't do that. And to have the younger people coming in but not their bosses, I have a problem with that too. And then people say to me always, well, it works for me. But actually, we were on a Zoom yesterday, and people were saying it works for me. And I said, yeah, but people are reading their mail and getting their notifications. And as I was talking, there were 12 people in the room and 4 people on the screen, and all 4 people on the screen were on their phone. And people say, and you think you're focusing and learning? And then as a management tool, when we meet in the morning, we talk, we have these debates, all day long we're talking. Hey, no, I checked on that you're right about that, here's what I think we should do. All day long. Constant update, constant share of information. So I tell you, it doesn't work in our business. And for culture, you talk about culture, it's impossible to do culture that way. And so, for us, we've made a decision. And that's why I explained it to them in a lot of detail and stuff like that, with a little emoting in between and stuff like that. But, and I explained DEI. Like before anyone of you asked, we are going to reach out to the Black, Hispanic, gay, LGBT plus. We have jobs for disabled veterans. We've got, we reach out to the second chance initiative, like people who are ex-felons. We've hired 4,000 or 5,000. We're going to do all of that. We're going to modify, and this is where I don't, I said, but just take a deep breath. We're going to, obviously the law is the law. So we had to change a bunch of stuff, which I'm sure you guys had to. That's the law. It's not going to really change the outreach. It may change some names. We haven't decided yet we're going to change DI. I don't, me, it's a moniker. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not, my people hyperventilating over it, I'm not. I think this stuff is, and then there's stuff, while looking at this, but even before President Trump was there, we were looking at some of these programs. We overdid it too. We had these bias training programs, which were a complete waste of time. I mean, literally, call it what it is. It has nothing to do with reaching out to the Black community. It was a waste of time. Then we had departments imposing, sending you compliance things, and then we had too many small efforts we were making. So we're consolidating that, but our effort to reach out is the same. It's 95% commercial. We've got, I think, 1,500 branches in LMI neighborhoods, lower middle income neighborhoods. And we're going to do fine. And if politicians come after us, they don't. Wherever I go, we're fine with the politicians too, by the way.
We have time for one more question.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for the time and the conversation. It's been really great to hear from you. My name is Hollis Rhodes, and I was just wondering if you could expand on a comment that you made a little bit earlier in the conversation about how the green economy has been a great waste of money.